Happy Tuesday. That kind of feels like a Monday because we didn't have school yesterday, but I'm glad you made it. Today is January 22nd, 2019, and we are on our second to last lesson in Module 3. So what that means is we'll have lesson 15 today, lesson 16 tomorrow, we'll review on Thursday, and then you are taking your Module 3 test on Friday. Okay? So today what we're going to do is we're going to use something called the RDW method. It sounds complicated, but I promise you it is not. We're going to use the RDW method to help us solve multi-step word problems that have more than one step. Using this RDW method is going to really help you keep track of if your answer is right or not. And also, you can help, and I also want you to start thinking about, is my answer reasonable or not? Today's learning goal that you wrote down at the beginning of your workbook, or notebook, says that I can use the RDW method to help you solve multi-step word problems. RDW is very simple. R stands for read. The very first thing you need to do when you have a word problem is to read the problem and understand what the question's asking. Do we already do that? Absolutely. The D in RDW stands for draw. What does it mean to draw? What do you think you have to draw? Tape diagram, you got it. Finally, the W stands for write. You have to first read and understand the problem, then you have to draw a tape diagram, and the W, you have to write an equation that your tape diagram shows that would help you solve the word problem. So every time we have a word problem now, not just in this lesson, but every lesson we have for the rest of 5th grade, anytime you see a word problem, you have to RDW. R stands for? Read. And understand, good. D stands for? Draw. W stands for? Okay, let's try using the RDW to help us solve the problem of the day. It says, in a race, the second place finisher crossed the finish line 1 1/3 minutes after the winner. The third place finisher was 1 3/4 minutes behind the second place finisher. The third place finisher took 34 2/3 minutes. How long did the winner take? Okay, we just read the problem, but we have to understand it first. Let's understand, what is the question asking us to find? What's the question asking us to find? Geffen? Okay, we want to find out how long the winner took. If the third place winner took 34 2/3 minutes, should the winner's time be more or less than that? Less. Because if you're finishing a race and you get first place, do you want more time or less time? Less. The faster you are, the less time you have, right? Very good. What important information do we need in order to figure that out? Aradna? Yeah, third place took 34 2/3 minutes. Okay? Very good. Very nice. Okay, we just did the R. The next letter is D. We have to draw. Let's see what information we know. We know that the third place winner, this is the third place, took how long? 34 2/3 minutes. Very good. Okay. Now, is the second place person going to be shorter or longer than the third place? Shorter. So we can draw a tape diagram that's shorter. And this is second place. How much shorter is second place compared to first place? So that means this blue area is 1 3/4. Oops, sorry. 1 3/4 minutes. Okay, very nice. Then there's a first place winner, isn't there? Let me move this down a little bit. Hang on one sec. This tape diagram shows that the third place winner took 34 2/3 minutes to run the entire race. Then it shows that the second place runner was 1 3/4 minutes faster than the third place winner. Then it shows that the first place winner was 1 1/3 minutes faster than the second place. Do you see how my end of the yellow piece lines up where the second place ends? Very good. So now we've done R. We've read the problem. We've done D. We've drawn a tape diagram. Now we have to W. We have to write an equation that shows how fast the first place winner took. Remember, we're trying to figure out how long this is. So looking at this tape diagram, how could we write an equation that would show how fast the first place winner ran the race? Go ahead and talk at your table groups. This equation that we've just written would help us find out how fast the second place runner ran it, right? But are we trying to figure out second place or first place? So once we know that this is the second place time, what do we have to take away in order to find the first place time? 1 1/3. So now we've done the third step of our RDW. We've written the equation 34 2/3 minus 1 3/4 minus 1 1/3. Could we solve this equation now? We would just have to do it in 2 steps. The first step, we have to find out the second place winner. And once we find that, we just take away 1 1/3. Now, is there a way we could rearrange the terms to help it be easier? Could we do 34 2/3 minus 1 1/3 first? And then take away 1 3/4? We sure could. Before we do that, though, about how big do you think the answer will be? 34 2/3 is pretty close to what whole number? 35, sure. 1 3/4 is pretty close to what number? 2. So what's 35 minus 2? 33, okay. What's 1 1/3 is pretty close to what number? So what's 33 minus 1? So our answer should be pretty close to what number? Okay, go ahead and solve it. So I want to show you guys that we did the R method. We read and understood what the question was asking and the important information. Then we did D, we drew tape diagrams, and finally we wrote an equation based on our tape diagram to help us solve the problem. Today when we work in class, I'm going to take you through the R, the D, and the W steps, and you're going to have to solve it on your own. Does that make sense? Very good. Now that we've read and understood the problem, we know that first he stole 3 3/4 ounces of slime from Molly. Then he stole another 2 3/5 from Ralph. So we have to add that together. The question also tells us all together his evil plan requires how much? 6 3/8. That's a separate piece of tape because did he steal 6 3/8? That's just how much he needs in order to complete his evil plan. Okay, so go ahead and draw that at the bottom. Now, how would you show the amount that he still needs? Well, he needs enough to make his top piece of tape the same length as the bottom piece of tape. So this amount right here is what he's still missing. So for step D, draw, this is what your tape diagram should look like. Once you're able to draw a correct tape diagram like this, then you know what you'll need to do is very clear, right? You add up these two numbers to see how much he has. Then you subtract it from the total. So you do 6 3/8 minus that total in order to find out how much more he needs. Now we can use benchmark numbers, things that we know, to help us figure out if our answer is reasonable. About how big should the answer be? Well, if I have 3 3/4 and I add up 2 3/5, about how much will I have? About 6, right? Because 3 3/4 is close-ish to 4, and this is like about 2 1/2. So it might be should it be more than 6 or less than 6? What do you guys think? Is this more or less than 1/2? Is this more or less than 1/2? More. So it'll be around 6, okay? And if I take this away from this, what should my answer be? Something close to 3/8, right? So if my answer is way off, like 2 3/8, would I know my answer is reasonable? So you should always be thinking that to yourself.